investors get a whiff of hope about the economy and send stocks soaring. The Dow climbs 172 points and the Nasdaq closes up 26 on a promising take on third quarter gross domestic product.
The CEO of one of the world's big drug companies is dealing with a big headache from generic competitors. We talk with Bristol Myers Squibb CEO Peter Dolan about that and his company's earnings news today.
Say sayonara to Song. If you're a fan of Delta Airlines low-cost carrier, you probably want to make plans to fly it sooner rather than later.
And tonight's Market Monitor guest says, want a trip to nowhere? In the near term, try investing in the U.S. stock market. He's Donald Strausheim, president of Strausheim Global Advisors.
I'm Paul Kangas.
And I'm Susie Garup. This is Nightly Business Report for Friday, October 28th.
Nightly Business Report is made possible by Franklin Templeton Investments, providing a unique perspective through the specialized investment expertise of Franklin Templeton Mutual Series and Fiduciary Trust. Franklin Templeton Investments, gain from our perspective.
And by A.G. Edwards.
This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. The U.S. economy is surprisingly resilient, and stocks rallied today on the fresh economic data. The Dow surged 172 points and the Nasdaq rose 26 on news that the gross domestic product grew by a stronger than expected 3.8% in the third quarter. But as Suzanne Pratt reports, there's concern about growth in the fourth quarter.
Despite significant headwinds from both Katrina and Rita, U.S. economic growth still accelerated quite nicely in the third quarter. According to preliminary government data, GDP grew at an annual rate of 3.8% in the July through September period, stronger than expected. GDP grew at a rate of 3.3% in the second quarter and 3.8% in the first. Experts credit strong consumer and government spending for the economy's resiliency in the most recent quarter.
It's the full package of the economy, including consumers, that is more resilient than people were expecting. I think without the impact of Katrina, you would have seen a number well above 4%, which is very different from what perceptions were in the marketplace.
High energy prices helped push up some of the headline inflation gauges in the report. But core inflation data, which strips out volatile food and energy costs, was well behaved. Nevertheless, most economists believe the Federal Reserve will continue hiking short-term interest rates at a modest pace. Fed policymakers are widely expected to raise the federal funds rate to 4% when they meet on Tuesday.
I think it confirms to the Fed that they need to keep hiking interest rates because you have an economy that seems to continue to grow strongly despite every obstacle.
While there is agreement on future Fed activity, there is less unanimity on the outlook for economic growth. Some experts say this latest GDP report suggests strong momentum into the fourth quarter, while others expect the consumer to ring fewer cash registers in the months ahead.
I would be surprised if the fourth quarter saw a strong acceleration from here because we are likely to see softer consumer spending during the holiday season as a result of the higher energy costs, taking away from the ability to make discretionary purchases.
In the coming months, the government will revise its third quarter GDP report twice. And because of missing inventory data for September, most economists expect the next reading will be revised even higher. Suzanne Pratt, Nightly Business Report, New York.
That robust third quarter GDP growth was just what investors needed to breathe new life into Wall Street's moribund blue chips after 3 straight losing sessions. A brokerage upgrade on Microsoft also helped the Dow climb steadily to a 105-point gain at noontime, with the Nasdaq up 18 points. The rally gained momentum with an upgrade on Verizon, better than expected earnings from Avon, and plenty of short covering. So the Dow Industrial Average vaulted 172.82 points to close at 10,402.77 today. This week, the Dow rose twice and fell 3 times for a net gain of 187.55 points. The Nasdaq Composite jumped 26 points, closing at 2,089.88 today. It also rose twice and fell 3 times this week for an overall gain of 7.67. The Standard & Poor's 500 was up 19.5 points, closing at 1198.41 today. In the bond market, the 10-year note fell 4/30 seconds to 97 and 16/30 seconds, putting the yield at 4.57%.
Shares of Bristol-Myers Squibb fell 2.5% today as the drug maker reported quarterly earnings that missed analyst estimates by 2 cents a share. The company also lowered guidance for the year and said it might abandon development of a key drug. In my exclusive interview with Bristol-Myers CEO Peter Dolan earlier today, I asked him if things look better for 2006.
We'll still experience exclusivity losses in 2006 on one of our most important drugs that's in our portfolio today, Pravachol. We'll lose exclusivity in April of 2006 in the U.S. We haven't provided specific guidance on 2006 yet. We'll do that sometime at the beginning of the year after we put our plan together for the year. We can anticipate that we'll still be under pressure in 2006 from an earnings standpoint as we deal with Pravachol exclusivity loss.
Mr. Dolan, how are you going to go about to boost sales and also to recover lost sales, given that so many of your blockbuster drugs are coming off of patent protection?
With exclusivity losses being a sure thing, when you lose patent protection, you lose a significant percentage of the revenue in a very short period of time. What you need to be doing is reinventing yourself through new product launches and portfolio growth that offsets that. In the last 3 years, we've had significant exclusivity losses, but we've also had successful new products that we launched.
How is Bristol-Myers reinventing itself? What is your strategy?
2/3 of our future growth we think will come from our own discovery efforts. As we move towards bringing these new products to market, more and more of them are coming from our own discovery efforts. We want to complement that by licensing new products from other companies' technology that we can add to our portfolio. From a strategy standpoint, we're focusing on disease areas of significant unmet medical need. We have about 10 of those that we've identified as places where we want to make investments.
It looks like Bristol-Myers is going more towards being a specialty-oriented drug company. Is that because it's just harder to come up with big blockbusters like in the past?
It is becoming more challenging in the industry for most companies to bring blockbuster new products to the market. And in our particular case, we think the focus we have on areas of significant unmet medical need really poses a potential strategic advantage for us.
So then give us an update on your thinking about your new diabetes drug. I thought that was going to be key to your strategy. Now I understand you may be abandoning it. What's the story there?
Pargluva received an approvable letter from the FDA. Approvable meaning with more information, more analysis, etc. They would potentially consider the risk-benefit profile and whether the drug ought to be on the market. What we announced last night on Pargluva is as we looked at this and the kinds of questions the FDA was asking, we subsequently decided that the studies that we had ongoing were not necessarily going to answer all the FDA questions, and so we're evaluating whether we can and should continue to make investments in Pargluva.
How does this impact your strategy?
Well, it's not really a change in strategy because we're still going to stay focused on the 10 disease areas. What it does is it changes how we think about making investments in various parts of our portfolio.
Let's talk a little bit about Plavix, your blood thinning drug, another one of your big blockbusters that did well in the quarter, but it's getting challenged by the generics, and I understand that you have a trial coming up in April. How are preparations going for that, and do you expect a positive outcome like Pfizer got with its Lipitor case?
We believe the Plavix patent is valid and that it's infringed. We're working with our partner Sanofi to defend it vigorously, and I don't really have any predictions about what the outcome might be.
Let's talk a little bit about Bristol stock. It has been struggling recently, and then today it's been down sharply in your quarterly numbers. How committed is Bristol to the dividend?
We have said we continue to evaluate it. We view it as a priority, with the exception of the loss of a Plavix patent prematurely, which would be a major event which would cause us to rethink our operational and financial priorities. We would continue to make the dividend a priority.
Mr. Dolan, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Susie.
Vice President Cheney's Chief of Staff, Libby, was indicted today on 5 criminal counts, including perjury in the investigation of the leak of the identity of a CIA agent. Libby resigned and has left the White House. The indictment is the latest challenge in what has been a challenging week for the Bush administration. But as Stephanie Dew reports, experts don't think Libby's problems will derail the president's agenda on Capitol Hill.
Despite the indictment and continued investigation of his inner circle, President Bush promised to keep on track with his economic policy and naming a new Supreme Court nominee.
While we're all saddened by today's news, we remain wholly focused on the many issues and opportunities facing this country. I got a job to do, and so do the people who work in the White House.
The indictment caps a week of bad news for the Bush administration. U.S. casualties in the Iraq War have now topped 2,000. Harriet Miers withdrew her Supreme Court nomination under heavy criticism from conservatives. Consumer confidence dropped, and Hurricane Wilma blew through South Florida. Analysts who watch Washington for Wall Street say the Libby indictment may not have much impact on the president's already struggling agenda.
I view this as like a value stock or a company who's going to have a negative earnings in a quarter, and they decide to throw all the negative news in that quarter.
But there may be more fallout from special counsel Patrick Fitzgerald's investigation as it moves toward a trial.
The need to get to the bottom of what happened and whether national security was compromised by inadvertence, by recklessness, by maliciousness is extremely important. We need to know the truth.
It looks like any truth-seeking will take place in the court. Meanwhile, the focus on Capitol Hill next week will shift to two big items on the Bush agenda, the budget and tax reform. Stephanie Dew, Nightly Business Report, Washington. Delta's low-cost carrier Song is flying into the history books. Song will be closed down by next May, and its fleet of planes incorporated into Delta's regular service. As a result, some of Song's planes will be reconfigured to two classes of service and fly long-haul routes. Delta says it's a move to save money. Last month, the nation's third-largest carrier filed for bankruptcy. And Paul, you'll remember, Song was launched back in 2003 as a low-cost option for leisure travelers.
Well, Susie, Delta says some Song features like a simplified fare structure and faster turnaround time will be used by the larger airline. Now let's take a look at our stocks in the news tonight. Pfizer, a familiar name at the head of the active list, 21.4 million shares topping it today. The stock up 40 cents a share. ExxonMobil gained 71 cents. Lucent a 4-cent gain. Texas Instruments rose 53 cents, and General Electric, fifth in big board volume, up 47 cents. 2-cent loss in Ford Motor. Verizon Communications gained 94 cents after Merrill Lynch upgraded it from neutral to buy on the company's improving outlook. Citigroup, 49-cent gain. Bristol Myers Squibb down 53 cents. You just heard the interview with the company's CEO. And Bank of America, an 80-cent gain, 10th in big board volume. Chevron, the major oil, up 88 cents. Big earnings, third quarter, $1.64, up from $1.51 last year. But that was, believe it or not, 21 cents below the street consensus. Revenues were, however, up 34% over last year. Avon Products did well, up $3.08. Third quarter earnings a touch lower, 35 cents versus last year's 37 cents, but 6 cents above the street estimate. And Deutsche Securities upgraded Avon from hold to a buy. MetLife down $1.60 despite nicely higher third quarter earnings of 97 cents, up from 92 a year ago, 3 cents better than the street expected, and revenues were up 20%, but the stocks had quite a run-up. International Rectifier tumbling $6.19, lower earnings there. First quarter 41 cents versus 59 last year. Revenues fell 13%. JP Morgan downgraded it from overweight to just a neutral rating. Mylan Labs down $1.30. Second quarter earnings fell to 16 cents from 18 a year ago. Revenues fell nearly 3%. Terex, a $1.92 gain there. Third quarter earnings jumped to $1.06 versus 89 cents last year. Revenues up 22%. And the construction equipment manufacturer also got a buy rating from Standard & Poor's. Good day for Terex. Chemed Corporation used to be called Roto-Rooter. Third quarter earnings 55 cents up from 42 a year ago. Revenues gained 16% over last year. Brunswick up $2.85. Third quarter earnings rose to 89 cents from 75 a year ago. Revenue is up 13%. Standard & Poor's repeated a buy on Brunswick. Microsoft topped the active list, moving up 68 cents. CS First Boston upgraded it from neutral to outperform on yesterday's better-than-expected earnings. And CS First Boston does have a $29 a share price target for Microsoft stock. Google, $5.11 gain there. Qualcomm, however, down $1.98. Several telecom companies have filed complaints alleging Qualcomm is stifling competition in the mobile phone chip market. Qualcomm says those allegations are unfounded. Apple Computer, 94-cent loss there. Intel was fifth in dollar volume on NASDAQ and gained at 49 cents. Maxim Integrated plunging $4.36 a share. The company had slightly higher earnings. First quarter, 39 cents versus 37, in line with estimates, but Prudential Securities downgraded the stock from overweight to just neutral. Cisco Systems, 9-cent rise, and Dell Computer, an 8-cent drop there. Amgen up $2.23. 10th in dollar volume was Applied Materials with a 35-cent loss. Invitrogen, a biochemical research firm, plunging $9.02. Third quarter earnings fell to 42 cents from 51 cents a year ago. And not only that, but the company cut its outlook. Kind of a rough day for Invitrogen. We had a new issue today, and that was Electro-Optical Sciences, a company that makes medical devices. 4 million shares offered at $5. The stock opened at $6.60, got as high as $8.50, fell back a bit, but still had a very good first day of trading. And those are the stocks in the news tonight. Susie?
Paul, billionaire investor Warren Buffett's company is getting a big chunk of change back from the IRS. A federal judge ordered the tax agency today to pay Berkshire Hathaway more than $23 million in taxes and interest in a dispute over deductions. Berkshire filed 2 suits against the IRS, claiming the agency wrongly assessed the firm's taxes over a number of years. The 2 suits were combined for trial. Berkshire Hathaway's Class A shares rose $300 today to $85,200.
Monday, Fed Chief nominee Ben Bernanke and the new inflation.
Airtran Airways is logging off the Expedia online travel service. Airtran will stop selling tickets on the site effective immediately to try to cut distribution costs. Expedia charges a $5 booking fee for plane tickets. The carrier also today inked a multi-year deal with Sendin Corp to sell tickets through its corporate travel site.
The former CEO of HealthSouth, Richard Scrushy, pleaded not guilty to charges of bribery and mail fraud today. Scrushy was indicted on Wednesday along with the former governor of Alabama in a federal corruption probe. 4 months ago, Scrushy was acquitted of charges he masterminded a massive accounting fraud at HealthSouth, the medical services company he founded.
Here's a look at what's happening for next week. Our Friday Market Monitor guest is Douglas Jimerson, president of National Investment Advisors. On the economic calendar, Monday, September personal income and spending. Tuesday, the Federal Reserve meets to decide what's next for interest rates. Also on Tuesday, September construction spending and October vehicle sales. Wednesday, weekly gas and oil inventories. Thursday, September factory orders and third quarter productivity. And then on Friday, the October employment report comes out.
My guest market monitor this week is Donald Strasheim, President and Chief Executive Officer of Strasheim Global Advisors, an independent research firm focusing on the United States, China, and the global economy. Welcome back to Nightly Business Report, Don.
Paul, thank you. Nice to be with you again.
It's my understanding that you've decided to close down your advisory firm to pursue other interests. Give us an update on what's going on there.
Well, Paul, the activity in China has been absolutely frantic the last couple of years, And my own company has simply consumed me without any time really to think and write. So we've decided to close the firm down, and I'm in the process now of writing a book. So I've got something to do while I'm thinking about what I do next, and I'm on the breadline.
Okay, well, as an acknowledged expert on China, and one who's defied the consensus and correctly predicted over a year ago that China's growth will not be slowing down to any extent, do you see any change in that now?
No, China's economy is still growing about 9% a year. That is a sustainable pace for, I think, a long time to come in China, the fastest in the world, and it provides great investment opportunities for everybody. Much more of an opportunity for America than the threat.
All right. Now, you were Merrill Lynch's chief economist for a dozen years, so using that expertise, tell us what's happening to the U.S. economy and where is our stock market headed?
Well, we've still got this growth rate. We just reported this morning, 3.8%, really quite solid. We've had 10 or 12 quarters in a row now of growth over 3%. I don't see that ending in the next few quarters. We've got some problems. The inflation rate is up a little bit. That is an issue for the Fed in particular. Interest rates are up. They're going to come up a little bit more, but earnings are very solid, and I think we'll continue to have good growth on into 2006.
What about the market, stock market?
Well, I think the stock market, quite frankly, is going to be very choppy, really kind of headed nowhere, just like we've seen the last few months. Some big up days and some big down days, a lot of volatility.
Okay. Now, on your last visit with us in late April, you gave us 3 buy recommendations. Let's see how they've done. The first one that we see is the Hong Kong index shares, the iShares, and they're up 3.7%. You like those?
Yes, I liked them then and still do right now.
Okay.
That's, by the way, the iShares in Hong Kong, the best way really for people in America and a lot of other places to play China.
Okay, and Shanda Interactive, that was a real kind of a doggy, down 22%.
It's down sharply.
You're out of it?
Online games, out of it. Don't want to get back in.
Okay, and you gave us one other, I believe, last time you were with us in late April, and that was Yum Brands, which is up comfortably, 6.7%. Still like it?
Exactly. Still like it. Do a great job in China. Easily the best fast food operator there, and a great job here as well.
Okay, new recommendations, Don.
New recommendations is, first of all, simply to reiterate the iShares in Hong Kong. It's a cheap way to play a market. It's very much suited to the individual investor, and Hong Kong is a big beneficiary of China.
Okay, you still like them. All right, now let's have another choice. There we see Sinopec, huh?
Exactly, Sinopec. This is kind of the refiner and processor and marketer of oil and gasoline and gas products in China. It's kind of like an Exxon Mobil. They're going to be a big beneficiary of the ongoing growth and the reforms in China allowing prices to rise.
We're running out of time. We have time for one more of your recommendations, and we see Ctrip.com.
Ctrip, yes, that's an online and kind of normal travel company, dominate the market, and travel is going to be a big deal in China for a long time to come.
Okay, do you own personally any of these securities, Don?
No, don't own any of them, no conflicts. Like to be objective and stay out of them.
Thanks very much for your observations, Don. Good to see you again.
Good, thanks, Paul. Nice to see you, too.
My guest, Don Strausheim, author to be.
And recapping today's market action, good news on the economy puts investors in a buying mood. The Dow gains 172 points, the NASDAQ climbs 26. To learn more about tonight's broadcast, go to NBR.com. And finally tonight, if Halloween is one of the best days of the year for kids, the day after Halloween is one of the best for orthodontists. Every year they say that they get emergency calls from parents whose kids have eaten too much chewy candy and messed up their braces. So one orthodontist in Ohio has come up with a solution. Dr. Kenneth Lawrence offers trick-or-treaters $1 a pound for their candy and then donates it to charity. Last year he gathered more than 80 pounds of goodies, and this year, Paul, he's sending the candy to soldiers serving in Iraq, and he suspects most of it will end up in the hands of Iraqi kids.
Well, I doubt whether many of them got braces under the regime of Saddam Hussein.
You're probably right about that. Well, that's tonight's Business Report for Friday, October 28th. I'm Susie Gerald. Have a great weekend, everyone. Same to you, Paul.
And you too, Susie. I'm Paul Kangas, wishing all of you the best of goodbye.
Nightly Business Report is made possible by
Objective financial advice. It's right for any nest egg, regardless of size. A.G. Edwards. For 118 years, fully invested in our clients.
Franklin Templeton Investments, providing a unique perspective through the specialized investment expertise of Franklin Templeton Mutual Series and Fiduciary Trust. Franklin Templeton Investments, gain from our perspective. This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you. For more information about investing, you may order the NBR Video Library of Personal Finance by calling 1-800-535-5864. This program is available in either the VHS or DVD format.
We are PBS.